All right, good morning. My name is Bobby White. I'm happy to be here with you all this morning. Chief of Public Policy, Chief Public Policy Officer with the Greater Memphis Chamber, our President, CEO, Beverly Robertson, Crackerjack team there at the Chamber working hard on your behalf every moment of the day. And these are still wonderful times from the standpoint that wonderful in that we continue to find that even in these dark hours, we're finding collaboration and partnership that allows us to speak to the needs of our investors, of our members, of stakeholders who lean on the chamber. And with that said, I'm going to invite into the room Rory Thomas and Aaron Davis. Aaron is CPA. Rory is Executive Director of the Tennessee Small Business Development Center. And the Tennessee Small Business Development Center, I want to just mention, it is an arm, it is administered by the U.S. Small Business Administration, housed over there at Southwest Tennessee Community College. We had an announcement from the White House on yesterday as related to support for small business. And when we say small business, we're not just talking about the traditional categorization of small businesses as 500 employees, below 500 employees. So with that said, I'm going to hand it over to Rory and Aaron to talk about the announcement that we heard from President Biden on yesterday and love for them to share. We're also going to have a question and answer session, a very brief question and answer session as we try to get at information that we know is helpful to you all. With that said, Rory, Aaron, the floor is yours. Thank you all so much for being here on short notice. Just to be aware, be clear here. Let me underscore the fact the announcement came out yesterday. I got Rory on the phone within moments of the announcement, and he graciously agreed to actually sit with us this morning for a webinar. So I would be remiss to not mention that they move like ninjas, and they actually reacted very quickly. So very happy to have you all on the line with us. Thank you, Rory. Thank you, Aaron. The floor is yours.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bobby, for having us, and good morning, everyone. Yes, as Bobby mentioned, very big news that came out early yesterday morning from the White House about some of the changes with PPP, especially starting on Wednesday. And what we'll do, I'll hand it over to Aaron Davis on our team to kind of go over the key bullet points, and then we'll be ready to take some questions and answers. So turn it over to Aaron.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me this morning. We're just going to go over the recent White House update that was provided to us yesterday. So very pertinent information that we need to discuss, and we just want to go over this to make sure that everyone understands what is going on. So yesterday, we received a White House correspondence for an exclusive PPP application period. This was established, of course, by the current White House administration, and this exclusive PPP application period is to begin tomorrow, Wednesday, February 24th, and it is for a 14-day period. And basically what this exclusive PPP application period is, it restricts the applicants for the PPP loan to just those business owners who have 20 or fewer employees. So basically what they're trying to do is provide even more support for those small businesses that are really struggling, that may not be able to compete with smaller businesses that have more than 20 employees. So those small businesses include like sole proprietors, independent contractors, self-employed individuals, those nail salons, barbers, any small business, any small business that you can think of, like gardeners. Those applicants were still having issues receiving the loan because of the application process and how the calculation for the loan was applied. So because of that, they have decided that they're going for the 14-day period for those particular applicants, the small businesses, the sole proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed individuals who have 20 or fewer employees. They will be revising the loan application calculation for the loan amount for these applicants. They have already established it's going to be used for the $1 billion set aside for small businesses. So some of those funds will go towards this. And then they were also going to adopt reforms included in the PPP Second Chance Act. Two of the restrictions that were included were those that received a conviction or were arrested for fraud, and they received a felony for fraud within the last 5 years, or those people that received any other type of felony in the preceding year. So the reform that they will be adopting would be the one that eliminates the second one. So it would eliminate loan application restrictions for people who have received a felony that's not related to financial assistance fraud within the previous year. Because obviously financial assistance fraud, that could be, that's a little bit higher on the totem pole. But for those that for any other felony within the previous year, they will be dropping that restriction. However, the applicant must not be incarcerated at the time of application. That's one thing that people need to understand. But so that's something that they're going to start to implement for these smaller businesses, these independent contractors. Another objective that they have is they're going to, a lot of the applicants who apply for the PPP loan may have been denied because the business owners were delinquent in their federal student loans, or they were delinquent or in default for the federal student loans. Well, now they're trying to eliminate that restriction. So therefore, those business owners who were delinquent in their federal student loans will now be able to apply for the PPP loan and receive assistance to, keep their businesses afloat, keep their employees employed. Also, another thing was about the ensure access for non-citizens for small business owners. So all U.S. residents were allowed to apply for the PPP loan. However, those that fall into the non-citizen U.S. resident category, they were not aware that they could use their individual taxpayer identification numbers in order to apply for the loan. So they're going to provide more clarification on how those non-citizen U.S. residents can use their ITINs in order to apply for the PPP loan. Other changes that they have, they will be implementing. So they're going to be addressing the waste, fraud, abuse of all the federal programs, starting with the PPP loan. They will be doing manual reviews of the largest PPP loans in the PPP loan portfolio. So I guess it'll be by, location or just the largest loans that they've been provided through the PPP loan. They will be doing a manual review. And then we'll be doing random sampling for all the other loans to try to combat fraud, waste, and abuse of the PPP loan application process. They will also be improving emergency relief digital front door, which is basically they're going to redesign the SBA website in order to make it more accessible for everyone to get what they need from the site and get the information that they're looking for. Another change is going to be continuing to conduct stakeholder outreach. So they're wanting to know how these emergency relief plans, how the processes and implementation of these plans are affecting everyone. So I believe they're going to start implementing different ways to get that information and to make changes accordingly. And also they're going to be improving their relationship by creating a new lender, or not creating a new one, but enhancing the current lender engagement model to help make sure that the lenders have the support that they need and the information that they need and the guidance that they need. So those are the highlights of the White House announcement. And we can move on to any questions that you guys may have concerning that.
Thank you for that, Erin. I'm going to actually, Dottie, my dear friend Dottie is on the line, who leads our Small Business Council. I'm going to pitch it over to her to allow her to put forward or bring forward any questions that she has. And then there are one or two that I've received, but I'll start with Dottie. Dottie?
Thank you very much, Bobby. Erin and Rory, I know this is not a change, but I think many small businesses don't know even where to start. So would you suggest that they start with their own bank or their own lender? And if they don't have that option, where should they go to begin this process? It's only a 2-week period, so I know things have got to start moving pretty quickly, but would you suggest they start this process?
If they do not currently have a relationship with their bank, they can go to the SBA Lender Match tool. You can Google SBA Lender Match tool and it will pop up, or you can go to sba.gov and click on the coronavirus updates, and it will direct you to the resources. And on that resource page is the link to the Lender Match tool. And they will basically, you will enter in your information, your business, what you need, and they will match you to an SBA lender for you. So that way you can get started with that.
Mhm.
Thank
And
you.
I'll
we
also
have one-
just, I would just also add as well too, contacting our office as well. We know, see some lenders online as well, know a lot of lenders around and know kind of like what they're looking for. And some, there are some lenders who may only specialize in doing under $150,000 for their PPP loans and so forth. And I did, while we're just getting on, just wanted to update some of the numbers as well for PPP right now. As of February 21st, there's been a little bit over 1.9 million loans approved, $140 billion have been approved. So I believe the new package had over 280 billion. So still over half of PPP funds are still remaining with basically a month to go. And over, I think 5,100 lenders have done PPP loans across the country, with the average loan size being $73,000 right now. So just even if there's people on this call right now who have over 20 employees and like, hey, I may miss my window or funds may run out, it seems like there's still going to be some funds available after this 14-day period too.
And Rory, we had a question from one of the not-for-profits. Although the guidelines for this new PPP has not come out, doesn't an organization still have to have a significant loss of income either in the previous year or in a matching quarter to be able to apply for PPP, whether that's a sole proprietor, an individual, a not-for-profit, or a small business?
If it's their second draw, they have to show
first draw.
First draw, no.
First draw, it does not have to have a significant loss?
Right. The second draw you have to do to show the 25%. But if this is going to be their first draw, that's not a requirement.
Thank you very much.
Question here from you all, for you all. If this is the question, if we got PPP round 1 and PPP round 2 based on line 31, can we reapply for the max using line 1 under the new guidance?
The PPP loan calculation, it still stands at using your 2019 Schedule C, line 31. And it will take that amount divided by 12 and multiply it by 2.5 in order to determine your loan amount. So that is still the standard. There is no changes to that.
Great.
And just for restaurants, it would be 3.5. So they did, if you're in the food services industry, they did up that amount to 3.5 times.
Yeah, and talk to me, because I think what's interesting as you kind of think about it is some of the things that have changed, if you will. Well, I shouldn't say this. There being a focus on this money getting down to where it needs to go. I mean, getting in the hands of lenders who previously were having trouble. We saw that just several weeks back in terms of how there was a clock started where these more community-based lenders were the ones that we started off there. We had a conversation on our last one. Talk about just some of what has occurred to ensure this money is getting down to the level or making it down, especially after what we saw during the first go around with some of the larger companies, doing quite well in this process, and some who were, at some level shut out and not able to access it. Talk about what those changes have been and the refinements that have happened as we progress through this federal legislation.
So one of the changes would be when we first started the second round of PPP loan was that they had a certain start date for different categories of applicants. So, you had the 17th for some and then the 19th for others. And that was just to hone in on those community lenders giving out loans to those smaller applicants. And now what we're seeing with this new change is that they're trying to, they've already set aside money for these next 2 weeks specifically for these smaller businesses, these sole proprietors, independent contractors, because they do make up so much of the workforce. And I don't know if you've been around and you looked at how many of these small businesses have closed, that is a problem for our community. So they're trying to bolster the community by providing special attention with this 2-week window specifically for sole proprietors, independent contractors, and all those other small businesses that have 20 or fewer employees. And they also, with the first draw, a lot of sole proprietors, independent contractors were not even aware that they could even apply for the PPP loan because of the payroll restrictions. Well, we've seen the change that they've made with that, with implementing the new calculation with using the Schedule C, line 31 net profit amount in order to create that monthly payroll amount that they could use to calculate their loan.
Definitely.
And another question just came up from one of our listeners. Do they need to have gotten forgiveness on their first loan to apply for their second draw? Which I think the answer is no.
No, and it just needs to be planned to be used.
Planned to be used. Okie dokie. And then this new focus on businesses of less than 20, is that primarily for first draw or can it be for second draw also?
I believe it did not specify, honestly, but I believe it could be for either first or second draw. I think it's just giving those smaller entities the opportunity to go after the money that's already there, where they don't have to compete with small businesses that have 300, 400, or 100 employees, and they only have 1 or 2. This is just providing them that, just that hold on the money in order for them to get what they need.
And I think also for those loans under $150,000, the forgiveness process is going to be a lot less intensive on documentation. And we had a question from one of our attendees about that. Some lenders are telling the first draw people to wait until that new guidance comes out about loan. It's the Form S or whatever it is.
Yes.
It's much less intrusive. So some people with the first loans under 150 have not even been able to apply for forgiveness. Is that correct, Erin?
So the legislation is out. The new PPP loan forgiveness for those who had $150,000 or less, that form is now available. So you can go onto the SBA website. I think it's 3508S. I transposed the numbers, but 3508S. And you can fill out that. It's about 1 page, and you self-certify that you use the funds appropriately, and you would provide that form to your lender. Now, the lender itself could ask for, some documentation to verify your self-certification. However, the process is a lot more simplified for those who have $150,000 or less with the 1 page application, as opposed to having the 6-page application of the original 3508 form.
And just going to add quickly about just again the 20 or less employees. We know that those companies don't have all the same resources as some of the larger small businesses who have maybe dedicated HRs, payroll, CPAs, all those things on their staff. So as makers know, it may take some of the smaller companies more time to get these applications and things together. But then at the same time, if you are, a banker and you're waiting for a smaller company to get all your paperwork in, but you have a larger one who has all their paperwork in, you're able to go ahead and assist and get those things done more quickly. This now dedicates 14 days in which that smaller company can work with their banker, work with their consultants, bookkeepers, CPAs to get all that paperwork in during that time. So it's just, again, going to, the limited resources that a lot of, sole proprietorships, 5 or less or 10 or less businesses have to get all the paperwork together that they need to apply for PPP.
Yeah, let me ask this, and I'm going to ask these questions because we've covered some of this, but I want to ask these questions just as they came in, just to ensure that, the ones who sent these questions in know that some of them, that their question has been asked. Right, here we go. See, the CPAs on YouTube. Let me first of all say, Aaron is a CPA, and I want to also underscore again that this office, this Small Business Development Center, is administered by the U.S. Small Business Administration. So I want to underscore that again, just in terms of, what we're hearing now from Rory and Aaron. But here we go. The CPAs on YouTube claim that President Biden has proposed using gross receipts, line 1, divided by 12 times 2.5 for the new guidance. It's supposed to be announced tomorrow. Anyone heard of this? I wanted to ask that just like it came out.
No,
Yeah.
We have not received any notification of that guidance being approved or passed. But if we do, of course, we would make an announcement and, encourage people to use that as implementation. However, that is not current legislation as of today.
Very good. All right, the second one. I went through Blue Vine, the first loan, but have not received forgiveness like other businesses with other lenders. They are telling me to wait until further notice. Do I need to give the first loan? Do I need to get the first loan forgiven before applying for the second?
No, you can go ahead and apply. A lot of lenders are still trying to accommodate the new forgiveness legislation. So, go ahead and apply for that second loan. And when they're ready for the first application forgiveness, do that when they're ready.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you for that. Are there other questions? Dottie, do you have anything else that you wanted to add? I also have Amy on the line. Are there anything that we may have missed? Tanja, I know there is one question you sent me. I'll look for that while Dottie chimes in here.
Just one quick question, and I think there was a lot of confusion and a misunderstanding for many people who applied for their PPP and who will apply for it. Can you just briefly, we're running short of time. Say you apply for it, you don't use it all, and you go to ask forgiveness and there's some amount left over. What process after that? You have to pay back? How long does it take? Is there interest? Whom do you pay it back?
If you don't use all of your loan, you can send the rest of it back to your lender. You can do that. That's definitely an option. You would need to discuss it with your individual lender. I'm not 100% certain of what their processes will be, but it's definitely a conversation that you can have if that is your scenario.
Okay, and this question I have, would I have to have a 2020 decrease versus 2019 in overall gross profit, or just a decrease in net income? And is the decrease for any 8-week period or based on the whole year?
So are you asking for the first or second draw? So the second draw, you would have to have a 25% or more reduction from a corresponding quarter between 2020 and 2019. And that's based on your gross receipts. So your revenue, what you brought in, and that's it. So that's what it's based on. And it's based on a quarter. So you could compare it to quarter 3 of 2020 to quarter 3 of 2019, or you can use the annualized method where you compare all of 2019 to all of 2020, but be aware that you will have to provide your answers to that application have to match your 2019 tax return or any other financial statements, bank statements that you may have.
And just quick to go back to what Dottie mentioned, someone asking if they didn't use all their money. with this on the second draw, there is some more advantages. I think it goes well up to 24 weeks, that cover period, but also you can use it for more expenses now. So more of your operational expenses that you couldn't use, the first draw. So definitely over that 24-week period, as long as you use 60% on payroll, the other 40%, other operational expense, supplier costs, so forth, they should be able to exhaust that PPP loan. So they could just keep that in mind. It's just not all based upon salaries. 60% would be payroll, but other 40%, they can use that on some of their other business expenses.
And then if for some reason you can't think it reverts to a one that's at percent to your lender for 2 years, I think, or 2-year payback, or is that right, Erin?
Is it
It's
5 years?
5 now.
5 years.
5
It's
years.
5 years. So it's very, very reasonable if someone hasn't been able to justify everything.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much. We're going to give you 2 minutes of your day back. But thank you all again for agreeing to and hotline. I think, as you all can tell, these are two individuals, and quite frankly, I had Dyer too as a resident expert as it relates to what we're dealing with and the navigating these opportunities to keep our businesses alive and thriving. We know it's been a difficult time, so the more we're able to get information to you all, the more we're doing our job. So thank you all so much for joining the phone call. I will also say this to Rory and Erin: any updates, please feel free to share with us and allow us to be able to share out with our network. So we're paying attention, but if there are things that you may hear before us, we'll make sure to share with our network. But thank you to everybody for being on the call. We appreciate your taking time to be with us this morning. Have a great day.
Thank you.